Hello. Hi, Mallory. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing just fantastic. What a
Good.
week. It's only Monday and it feels like Thursday.
Yeah, I had my first day back at work today, so
Ugh,
yeah.
yuck. Let's
It
say hi
was,
to people. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, it was not that great.
No, work is never that. Where's Brittany? Brittany, get up here. Hey,
But
Jessica. Hey, Carolina. Candace. Inspector Gadget. Carolina Moon. Spice of Sugar. Vanessa will be as Daniel, the eye in the sky, some mint shoes. Mallory, Frank,
hello.
Petunia, Jeanette, Elisa, Madam Nixie. It's good to see everybody. Welcome, Amanda, Carol, Karen, Jan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mama Stone, Mia, Kentucky Lee. There she is. Hey, Brittany. Let me let her up. Hey, babe, how you doing? Jean, oh my gosh, haven't seen you in forever. Tia, Ashton, BBBBO, Bubbo. There we go. Seth. Hey, Sharon. I've learned a lot. Good to see everybody. Jennifer, everybody. It's so good to see everyone. Corkies. Nadie, hey boo. KW10. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but if you did, I apologize. All right, before we get started, let's have a word from our sponsor.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's the best.
It's my favorite thing. So before we get too started, welcome Mallory, welcome Brittany. I hope everybody's doing good. Oh, Madam Nixie, thank you. Welcome to Kookaloo. So happy to have you with the members. Yay. Hello, Shamida. Hi, Tony, Mike Jetson. Hello. Hello. Red Eye Obsolete. Hello. Oh, Lordy. Y'all, this time change is not good for me. I'm not a fan. I mean, I like it, but I don't. It always takes me like a week to get through it. It's too much.
It's way too much.
I've had enough.
Well, you've been working extra hard too, so that doesn't help matters here.
Yeah.
I what?
I said you've been working extra hard too, so that doesn't help matters either.
No, I have been working. I have high sunset gazing. I've been working my bootay off. We all have. This Alex Murdaugh situation was a no joke. No joke. So, what I thought we would do tonight, actually, is just go through the investigation. And the reason I want to just do it, that part of it, only like what was found at the crime scene, all of those things, the 911 call, all of those things, is because I had always intended to make a standalone video for each part, and I am still going to do that. But then this one got all messed up, and if I would have fixed all of it, it wouldn't be ready until next year. Honestly, it was so messed up. I don't know what I did. But the truth is, I will still make a standalone. I just wanted to get through this part because I want to talk about Stephen. His case is very important. And at this point, I don't actually have like a good suspect. Honestly, I don't. Hang on just a second. I need to do something here. Okay.
For Stephen?
Yeah, I don't have a good suspect just yet because there's this big, huge question mark. And the big, huge question mark is his cell phone. Personally, I think his cell phone is what has the answers. And I think that if they can get that unlocked and they can get it downloaded, I think that we will have a better idea of what happened that night, where he was going, where he was coming from, all the things, all that you need, I think, to really start figuring out who might have done what. We just don't know enough, I think, about. And the other thing is, we don't know all that much about Stephen Smith. The sad
Right.
fact is that when you watch any of those documentaries, they mention Stephen, but any details about who he was as a person are way overshadowed by what happened to him. And so I would like I'm gonna try to reach out, hopefully to find I can hi NorCal Jim, I can find his mom. And I don't expect for her to come on the show or give me any or do like an interview or anything like live or even a recorded one. I just want her to tell me about Stephen because I'd like to do an episode just about Stephen. And then I'd like to do another episode where we talk about what like his family and the people who were close to him when they were interviewed, what their take and perception is on the situation. And then I think I want to move then into the suspects. I think doing it in 3 parts is going to be much easier information for everybody to take in and, process and understand. Hey, crazy mama. Hey, Kim M2. What all's going on? Like it's a complicated case. There's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
So
I think she needs to know that there are a lot of people that's not just putting his case on the back burner because with the way that this case with Alex's case and how it just blew up, there's no way that either Stephen's family or Mallory's family aren't feeling like they're just kind of cast in the background,
right.
And in a lot of ways, I do wonder if law enforcement are saying that they're looking into this to appease people more so than to actually take any action.
I think that I like to give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt. I think that back in 2015 when this happened, and Stephen's phone was locked and couldn't be unlocked, I think that came to like a huge standstill, and we were just the case was just kind of stuck. And they, interviewed people and, they could only do what they could do. It only went so far. It kind of went cold. But I think that with the phone, I'm hoping now that it's out loud and proud that they do have the capability of using brute force to open that phone, that they'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should get some I think we should get answers from that phone. I mean,
that phone is going to be everything. Because if he was talking to somebody that night, that, in my opinion, Jen, wouldn't you say that whoever did this, some people say that they think that whoever did this just happened to be driving down the road and Stephen was there. I find that hard to believe.
I find it hard to believe because why would he be just walking down the road? Why didn't he call some? See, he had his phone with him. So, and I feel like if he was in a situation where something was wrong with his car, right? Why didn't he call somebody?
Exactly.
Especially with the history of calling people too.
Right.
When
he called his sister. It's happened before. Exactly. So, I mean, the truth of the matter is the case is still open. So why they chose to use the words reopen, I have my own thoughts about that, but I don't want to really get into that too much just because I'm not quite there yet. And, if I'm going to say it, I want to show you why I'm saying it. So I'm just going to wait on that. So anyway, what I did was I just uploaded a video to my YouTube and all I did was like mute the sound her at the very beginning because that's the 911 call and that's what I want you guys to hear. But everything else is muted, and I thought I could just like go through. We could just go through the timeline together and do that. What do you girls think?
Oh
I
yeah.
love.
Okay.
There's a comment that you should read in your chat. I think it'll make you smile. It's from Rachel Lee.
Okay, let me read. Let me look. Let me see. Aw, thank you so much. Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad I could brighten a gloomy day for you, Rachel. Thank you very much. You've brightened the day for me. Just all of you guys really listen. The fact that anybody listens to me, let alone comes back repeatedly, is amazing to me and humbling also, because I annoy the shit out of myself. I don't know how you guys don't get tired of me, but I'm glad that you don't. Hey, Princess Megan Elsa, because I love talking about true crime. And you guys, I can't think of anybody more fun to talk about it with than you guys on panel and you guys in chat. You guys, I just adore all of you. You know that I do.
Yeah, you make the hard topics easy to listen to, Jen.
I hope so.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
that's what I'm
excited.
thinking. Go ahead. Sorry, Brittany. I didn't mean to cut you off, babe.
No, you're good. You're good. And I was just going to say, I'm excited to see what you put together because we've been talking about it, and I know you've been doing the most behind the scenes. So yeah, I'm excited.
I have. I want you guys to know that, like, what I'm about to share to you is really this is how when I put together a video for you guys, this is how these videos get put together. So this is a little backstage, secret stuff behind the scenes until I like get all the timing right and all that stuff. So yeah, this is how it's out. All right, hang on a minute. All right. I probably should add it to the stream. All right, are we ready? Girls, are we ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
Hello, I just going down the Crocketville Road, and I see somebody laying out.
What road are you, what's the name of the highway that you're on?
I know it's Crocketville Road.
Just know it's Crocketville Road.
Yeah,
Is it in the road or on the side of the road?
in the road.
Oh, in the road?
Yeah.
All right, so what's your name and call that number?
My name is Ronnie Caper.
Okay, all right, we'll get an officer headed out that way to see what's going on.
Okay, but he laid in the road. I ain't moving or nothing like that. But somebody gonna hit him. It's dark. Somebody gonna hit him.
All right, we'll get an officer headed out that way.
Okay.
All right, sir.
All right, hold on. Let me pause this real quick because I want us to have. Wait. All right. So that's not the whole 911 call. The whole 911 call is like 1 minute and 55 seconds. I just sort of clipped it together because there's like a big chunk of the call. Oh, thank you, Kim. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So very sweet of you. Oops, I meant to highlight this one. Thank you. It's longer, but mainly it's him trying to explain where he is, where this road is. And it is a quiet road. It is a back road. It's not a road that, 11 billion people are traveling on. It's, it's quiet. And
Right.
it was, when he came upon the body, which ended up being 19-year-old Stephen Smith, that diagram, let me go back to that diagram because I want to show you guys that a little bit better. This is, hold on, let me find it. This is really accurate as to how he was laid. Now you see when I talk about like, the only way I know how to describe it is when you like think of a groom carrying the bride over the threshold where they're scooped up under their legs. See how his legs are laying? That's why
And
I
like
say
his
that.
one arm would be over the shoulder,
Right.
and
Like
the
he
other one's
was
like up in
just,
the air, like a pose.
right. He was, or at his side. And then when he
Mhm.
laid down, it kind of flopped. But yeah, that's why I say that, because he looks just laid down, like somebody just placed him there. He does no, so the 911 call happens. Okay. And then the next thing I wanted to play for you guys, hold on, let me get back to it, are the list of officers. And the reason why I wanted to show you guys that is because you'll see some names that are familiar to you from the trial. For example, T.C. Small. T.C. Small is the gentleman who testified on rebuttal. Okay. He was the sheriff of Hampton County when in 2015 all the way till the end of last year, 2022, is when he retired. He is the gentleman that testified that he never gave Alec Murdaugh permission to put blue lights in his vehicle. And he wouldn't give that. He didn't give Alec permission. He didn't give anybody else permission either. That's not how it's done. That's who TC Small is. Okay. So he is well known. He knows the Murdaughs and the Murdaughs know him. And then the rest of these guys, I mean, they're around in other investigations, but for now, we're just going to leave it. Hey, TS News, we're going to leave it here. Okay. So this is who arrives first, is the Hampton County Sheriff's Department. The first officer on the scene is Michael Bridges. Okay. So they got there at, all right. Don't get me lying. Let me check on my notes exactly what time he arrived. 4:07, I think, is right. But the problem with the 4:07, Britt, if you're right, it is 4:07, is that they're not exactly. There's some conflicting reports. So, yeah, Michael Bridges is who arrived right then. All right, and then after Michael Bridges arrives at 5:15, this next slide, I should say, this is from the South Carolina Highway Patrol. All right, these are the officers that start arriving. Okay, and let's see. If you Corporal Duncan, you will remember from Low Country. Was in the Oxygen special, and I actually think he's been in all of them. He was in the Netflix one, he was in the Oxygen one, he was in the HBO Max one, and I believe he was in the ID one. So yeah, this is the gentleman that was like, what you mean, hey, the whole time, because they all start arriving on the scene in short order, and what they realize, well, initially they arrive and they're all just sort of this is the team that came from SLED this is the team from SLED. They were called by not TC Small. Who called them? Don't get me lying. Let me check my notes. I can't remember now. Crap. Hold on.
You're good.
Hold on. I'll find it. Chief Deputy Billy Jarrell. He's the one from the Hampton County Sheriff's Office. See, the thing about SLED is, and I know we've all talked about this before, but just for anybody who isn't, oh, wow. Bodine, that's wow. Well, I mean, wow. I would love to speak to her, only just I just would like for her to tell me stuff about Steven so we could all know him better. So the deal with SLED is this. SLED is a they're an assisting branch of law enforcement. They can do all of the things, but they're invited in. And so they're like the state police for
Okay.
some places. So like the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, like that, like the Texas Rangers, like what's the other one? The one from Tennessee that's helping with Summer Wells.
It's like the
Um,
TBI and the
The
CBI.
TBI, exactly. They're the state police, so they get invited in. So they're called at 6:12, okay, by Hampton County Sheriff's Office, and all throughout these calls, okay, that are taking place, where more officers from different agencies are arriving on the scene, they're all standing and they're looking at Stephen, and all of them. Nobody thought this was a hit and run in the beginning. At first, they thought it might have been a GSW to his head because
Right.
the way that he was laying, the fact that his shoes were still on, his clothes were not like torn or even dirty or ripped or anything like that or scuffed up where you would from tumbling if a vehicle hit you. Um, what else? I mean, he was just he just looked like he was laying there. It was the, oddest thing. So
Yeah.
then we have after them. Now, so then these are people that are important. So Ernie Washington was the Hampton County coroner. Kelly Green was the Hampton County deputy coroner, and Dr. Aaron Prisnell is the one who conducted Stephen's autopsy. Okay.
Ernie was from Murdaugh, wasn't he?
No.
Did he testify?
No, I thought that's who that was too, because but then I realized that the coroner that testified in Murdaugh's trial was Colleton County, and this is Hampton County. So it's two different people. Yeah, I thought the same thing too. I remember because Teresa was telling me about him after he testified, and he yeah, I was like, no, that, and we thought the same thing, but it wasn't. So they're all at the scene. They're taking pictures. Sled is sketching the scene. They're drawing diagrams, all the things. They're looking at Stephen. They find his phone completely intact, no cracks, no nothing, nothing. It looked perfect. And then they find the key to a vehicle in his front pocket. Okay. So that's pretty much what they're doing. And the reason that the highway patrol is called out is because that's what happens until they assess the scene, right? So because it's a person in the road, they cover their bases. The Hampton County Sheriff's Department gets dispatched, and so does the highway patrol. All right, because they're covering their bases just to make sure that it is that if it is a hit and run, right, then the highway patrol would have jurisdiction. If it is a straight homicide, then the Hampton County Sheriff's Office would have jurisdiction. So that's what they're all trying to assess and what they're all trying to figure out. Okay, so
and real quick, just while you're on this part, I just want to preface it. This part blew my mind when I was researching into this case and why I struggle to let it go. The officer's reactions when he arrived at the scene, and then what all of the emergency personnel said, how they thought that it was a gunshot wound. Like that, all of them were of the same mind frame that's what it was. And here's my problem with the hit and run thing.
Okay,
these people. These emergency personnel, or whether it's the officers, Jen, they're used to seeing things like this every day. So if somebody was hit by a car, they automatically would pick up on the signs of that. And they would know, I mean, for the most part, wouldn't you think?
Yes.
Like, and none of them thought that. And, I mean, during the raw reaction of the moment of first laying eyes on them, none of them thought that was what happened.
No, none of them did. In fact, you have at this is at 0600, and this is Corporal Duncan's report, and he's basically saying he was on the way to the scene and he called Booker, and he was told that, quote, it appeared to be a homicide and SLED was taking over. And then Booker says he was advised there was a possible GSW to the victim's head. So, I mean, and then at 6:08 a.m. from the South Carolina Highway Patrol, Moore is advised by Allen that mate is en route and that Allen is almost at the scene. Moore leaves his home and heads to Sandy Run Road. Allen informs Moore that it is a homicide, not a hit and run. Moore tells him to make sure that the coroner and the Hampton County Sheriff's Office are also ruling it a homicide. And at 6:12 a.m., the SLED crime scene is requested by Chief Deputy Billy Jarrell to assist in the investigation of a possible homicide in Hampton County. And that's when they this is very early. So it's 6:25 a.m. according to South Carolina Highway Patrol, Moore arrives at the scene and speaks with Hampton County Coroner Ernie Washington, who tells him it's a homicide. Washington points to a wound on Smith's head and calls it a GSW, showing Moore the, quote, entry point. Hampton County Deputy Coroner Kelly Green showed Moore photos of the body and pointed to, quote, an entry point on Smith's head, and also to defensive wounds on Smith's hand, to a defensive wound, I should say, on Smith's hand. Moore asked Green, quote, if they were sure it was a homicide, and their response was yes. Well, Brittany fell off, and she's back in record time. Moore advises mate they're no longer needed. Moore then walks the scene and no evidence of any car parts or pieces, and sees no evidence of any car parts or pieces, and then had all units clear the scene. So even at 8:25, an EMS worker stated that a projectile wound was located on the victim's head. The Hampton County Coroner's Office moved the victim prior to SLED crime scene arrival. Talon and Burke take photos and make sketch with measurements. So that's after this slide. So yeah, I mean, they all were pretty much, in agreement that this was a homicide.
Yep. Not even questioning it.
Right. Nope. Not even questioning it. This is nothing. Don't even pay attention to this. I'm going to let this go because this was a whole narration, but it's everything that I just told you. So let me skip for it. I just thought I left it in here just in case we had some talking points in between here. But
oh no, I'm really glad that you did this. I like it for someone. I'm a visualist. I say this all the time, and I just don't think you realize how much this helps people like me to go through a case. Like, I wish we could do things like this more often, where it's more of a step-by-step presentation like this.
Yeah.
Because it really, I don't know, I like it. I think it's really interesting, and it's given me a better idea of the overall scene and people involved.
Well, damn. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. So they're sketching the scene and doing all of the things. Okay. So this is the scene. They're taking all the measurements, and I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. I mean, the point of all of this really is, even at this point with SLED there, they are really thinking that it's a homicide, which would mean then that there would be no need for the highway patrol to be there. Okay. So as they're doing all of this, again, they're looking just to make sure they do end up locating Stephen's car. Okay. And let me tell you where that is. I'll tell you. At 9:18 a.m., SLED agents release the scene to the Hampton County Sheriff's personnel, and then they leave. So at about approximately 3 miles from where Stephen's body is his vehicle, okay, on the side of the Bamberg Highway. Now they get a search warrant and they search the area and the vehicle. Okay, so when they come up to the vehicle, hold on, let me skip forward a little bit because we don't need to leave it on this. This is all narrated right here. Okay, so this is where they found Stephen Smith's vehicle, and this is basically what it looked like from the outside. Okay. And they use the key that they found in Stephen's front pocket to open the vehicle. And the car was in park, and they couldn't really tell what was wrong with the vehicle as far as why it might be abandoned there. The battery was functional, but the vehicle wouldn't start. They did try. So inside the vehicle, they find Stephen Smith's wallet, and then Singleton took the wallet. He's with the Perry Singleton is with the sheriff's office, Hampton County, and nothing else was taken from the vehicle. Now this is what it looked like on the side with the gas tank door open and the lid hanging out, which I think this is why, hey Stephlin, this is why they thought that he might have run out of gas, and this is why he was walking. And I've looked and looked and looked and looked and looked. And as far as his vehicle goes, I can't find anything. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, or it did happen. And I can't find it. I can't find anything where they looked more deeply at his vehicle to see if there was actually gas in the gas tank. But the bottom line is this. Huh?
That frustrates me to the bitter core.
Well,
that makes me so mad.
To be fair, and I'm trying to be fair here. To be fair, just because I can't find it doesn't mean it wasn't done. I feel like, though, between everything that's been written about this case and Murdaugh Murder podcast did such an amazing job on the Stephen Smith case. You can go right to their YouTube channel. You can just watch their information. They have a whole playlist where they cover Stephen Smith's case. But I feel like I'm trying to be fair, but I do. So there is part of me that feels like if that had been done, I think at this point it would have been found out. Somebody would have said something, because the girls that do Murdaugh Murder podcasts, they filed all kinds of Freedom of Information Act stuff and got a ton of things. So I feel like that would be in there. If they were able to see the death certificate, and if they were able to see a lot of these other reports, I feel like that would have been in there.
Right.
This is the Stephen Smith case, Candace. This is part of one of the deaths that's mentioned in conjunction with Alec Murdaugh, Buster Murdaugh, and Paul Murdaugh, frankly. That's just the truth. And there is some, well, okay, let me just keep going. So anyway, they find his wallet. So now if he's run out of gas, okay, why would he leave his wallet? How are you going to pay for your gas? And I thought about this, and I thought, well, maybe he left his wallet and he just grabbed a debit card, or maybe he left his wallet and he just grabbed cash, except for the fact he clearly never made it to the gas station, because otherwise there would be footage of that. So then whatever he was going to use to pay for it would have, been in his pocket, right? Because his pockets weren't even turned out. So,
and who leaves their gas tank open like that? Honestly, to me, that just reeks of a stage scene, just in my humble opinion. And I even thought siphoning.
siphoning?
Is that how you say it? I don't know how you say it right. The
Yeah,
siphoning.
siphoning.
Maybe it was siphoned. If somebody siphoned it out to make it appear as if it was out of gas, and just was careless to leave it, to put the cap back in. I don't know. It's just really. I just don't see him in the middle of the night in pitch dark.
Right.
Like, okay, let me open my gas tank, even though I don't have anything to put in it just yet.
Right. And he was on his way to home from school. He'd been at school that night. So, but also, and this is the other thought too, there's multiple thoughts that I'm talking about, not like at this minute in the now in 2023, Beverly. I'm talking about back in 2015. This is what they were thinking at first, because of the way the vehicle looked, that he was going to the gas station. Okay, but then the situation with the wallet arises. But the other part is that that because the gas station would have been in the other direction. Then the other thinking was that he was heading to his house. But if he were headed to his house, according to his sister, first of all, he never would have been walking in the middle of the road like that, number one. And number two, he would have called her. This is where his family, this is where they don't believe that anything was going on, like that he abandoned his vehicle, or that something was wrong with his vehicle. They think his vehicle was put there and not by him. That's what they think, because he would have never left his wallet in his vehicle, number one, and he would not have not called them. That's why they are like, absolutely not, because he would have called. He didn't like walking on those back roads at night. He was hyper vigilant. Bless his heart. He was an out teenager. He was 19. He was an out teenager in the South. Okay. And we've come a long way. We need to get better. But the acceptance isn't there yet. It's not anywhere near where it needs to be. And that's just facts. He did have an autopsy. Yes. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Britt?
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, not only that, his sister's adamant that he's scary like I am. We run from our own shadow. He was afraid of being on a dark road at night.
He was. He wouldn't have done it.
Being close to home is all the more reason that I believe he would have called his mom or his sister or somebody to come get him.
He would have called. I think so too. There was no reason. We don't even know if he was out of gas. That's the thing. I can't find anything in any of the reports that are online or anything like that. So they did try to start the car, and the battery worked, but the car would not turn over. So,
Did it end up being towed from the scene then?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. If I'm not mistaken. Yes.
It wasn't something where like they put gas in it and then they drove it off.
No, I think it was towed.
Okay.
They would never know. So like when the police impound a vehicle, they don't drive the vehicle, they tow it.
Right.
So I have so that was their initial impression, like at the scene when they came upon the car. Then later they realized, obviously something caused him. The official line at the end of the day before autopsy became that something happened with the vehicle Maybe it was out of gas, maybe it wasn't, but at any rate, he abandoned his vehicle and was walking towards home. That's where it ended on July 8th, 2015. That's what their end game. That was their conclusions at that time. Okay.
Okay.
So then they take the body for autopsy. And this is because initially, let me just get through this and then I'll answer questions. How about that? Because if I keep stopping to answer questions, then I'm going to get distracted and forget where I am and not make a point. Okay. So then they take his body for autopsy. And in between all of this, at about 10:30, the coroner makes the notification to Stephen's parents, Sandy and Joel. Now, keep this in the back of your mind for next time, because this is going to be important for next time, but not so much for this time, because this time we're just going to talk about the investigation. Okay. All right. Well, I can tell you that C-Star all I can tell you is what Stephen's friends and family said in interviews. And that was that Stephen was hypersensitive, or hyper, not sensitive. What's the word I'm trying to say? Hyper alert, hyper aware. And that he did get hassled for being gay. And I can tell you how it used to be when I was in Texas. That's all I can tell you, because I'm in the South, but I can't speak for the whole ass South. So maybe I shouldn't have said the South. All I can say is what his sister, his friends, his cousin, his mom have said about what it was like for Stephen right then. Hypervigilant. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, give me just a second. I have to shut my door.
You're good.
Well, coming from somebody that lives in North Carolina and grew up in Georgia, unfortunately, I can tell you we have progressed. The South has, but there are still pockets. And my brother's gay, and he jogs a lot. And I'll be honest with you, I worry about him, because there are still people who are very much not acceptive. So I can understand a little bit of why he would be worried, because this is South Carolina. This is a very small town in South Carolina that, yeah.
Not the burglar, Mo, the dog. I thought I had it shut all the way and I didn't. And he gave me a full no-knock warrant, just bulldozed right in the door, right in the bedroom. And I didn't want you guys to hear the TV in the living room. So what's interesting to me in this investigation is that when Stephen's body is taken for autopsy, SLED, through the Hampton County Sheriff's Department, tells the Highway Patrol, we're going to be attending the autopsy, but y'all are not needed. Okay. So I always thought that was interesting. And I always thought it was interesting that who had what as far as collecting the evidence, who took possession of the evidence. So Hampton County Sheriff's Office had possession of his wallet, his phone, Stephen's wallet and his phone. And so I always thought that was always thought that was interesting, why they called SLED in, and but SLED didn't take anything. SLED didn't have any of the let me see if I'm going to make us like this. Okay, there we go. That's better. So this is what happens at the autopsy. So everything that's listed is all right on this side, is all on the right side. So he had a 7.25-inch laceration on the right side of his forehead, along with bruises on both sides of the forehead. The right side of his skull had multiple fractures, bruising, and contusions. His right eyebrow was cut. His right shoulder was dislocated. Oh, that went too fast. Excuse me, slide. That's very rude. Hold on. Let me make it. I'll have to pause it. All right, hold on. All right. The right arm had cuts and bruises, including 6-inch irregular cut on the inside of right arm. And I copied that exactly how it was written. So it's a 6-inch cut. That's not being tossed around from being, from a vehicle, from being hit by a vehicle. He had 12 3-inch aggregate of irregular to angulated abrasions on his right arm, cuts on his right fingers, and aggregate means they were all in a cluster. I looked that up for you guys because I didn't know what it meant. All right, so this is what happened to his on his left side. He had small cuts inside of his left arm, and he had blood in his airways. Okay, so then SLED take the evidence that they collected at the autopsy. Okay, there was an assay kit done on Stephen Smith. Okay, but we don't know the results of it because it was lost. We can't find it. I mean, not me. I didn't lose it, and it's not my job. Like, I didn't lose it or anything like that, and I didn't look for it either. So I shouldn't say we can't find it. It just has not been found. It's been lost. So, yeah. So, and I want to say this straight away. Okay. I am not suggesting that Stephen Smith was targeted because of his sexuality. I don't know why Stephen Smith was targeted. What I'm saying is that he was hypervigilant because of his sexuality, and he would not have been walking in the middle of the road in order to be struck by a vehicle. It's not that he wouldn't be walking on the road. He would more be walking towards like the side of the road so he could dip into the woods very quickly if he needed to. Because his sister and him, his twin sister Stephanie, they did used to walk, and they would walk on the side of the road. And if they heard a vehicle approaching, they would dip into the woods. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know what happened to Stephen Smith. I don't know why it happened to Stephen Smith. I just know that from what the people who knew him best are saying that there would be no way that he would be walking in the middle of the road in order to be struck by a vehicle. That's the point. I don't know why. I don't know why he was I don't know what happened, and I don't know why it happened, and I don't know who did it. But I will say this. They went into the autopsy, all of the law enforcement agencies being on the same page. And when they were done with the autopsy, it was determined that he died as the result of, hang on, I'll tell you exactly what it says. Hold on. It was determined that the wound in the victim's head was not caused by a fired projectile. The pathologist stated that it appeared the victim was struck by a vehicle. Let's see. And then Talon contacted Singleton to tell him the South Carolina Highway Patrol would need to be contacted to investigate. And then they collect the GSR kit from MUSC. Okay. So the cause of death is listed as blunt head trauma due to, quote, motor vehicle crash. excuse me, not trash, crash. All right, let me see. It further goes on to say, quote, in light of historical information and the autopsy findings, it is the opinion of the pathologist that the decedent died as the result of blunt head trauma sustained in a motor vehicle crash in which the decedent was a pedestrian struck by a vehicle, the autopsy report says. That's exactly. And then the SLED agents leave MUSC and they take evidence to their forensic laboratory. So then this is when it gets all the way complicated, because now they're calling the highway patrol and they're telling the highway patrol, hey, it's a hit and run. Now it's y'all's job to take over. Okay. So then there's a series of phone calls that occur, and they're trying to get a hold of TC Smalls and Small. I always want to. It is Smalls. TC Smalls. Yeah. And let's see. So so Smalls tells him that the doctor's ruling it a vehicle accident and that they're turning it over to the highway patrol. So then Moore calls Singleton and asks for any notes or any information. And Singleton tells Moore he wasn't at his desk and would call him back in 30 minutes. This was at like 4:15. Okay. Then Moore calls Ernie Washington, and he's the coroner, and the coroner's, and he's like, are you gonna rule it as a hit and run too? And Ernie Washington's like, I got to say what the doctor says. I'm not going to argue with the doctor. But he does admit that, he's side-eyeing it. Okay. So then now the autopsy was completed at 1:43. Okay. And then by 4:40, Stephen Smith's body is already at the funeral home. Okay. Now this is where it's really complicated. Okay. So now the highway patrol is taking over this whole situation. Girls, did you want to add anything here?
No, I wanted you to be able to do your presentation or whatever.
Yeah, I've been holding my questions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to throw you off.
Okay.
I
thought maybe you guys had. Okay, I thought maybe you guys had.
When we went over this case, we did not go into after the accident. We only, me personally, I guess, I don't know if Britt's looked at behind the scenes, but I don't know anything past, I don't know anything past the accident and the theories behind it. So I'm interested to hear about this part now.
Okay. So at this point, Stephen's body is now at the funeral home. Okay. And so now the South Carolina Highway Patrol, now they're put in charge. Okay. So now they're playing catch up and they're having to call the other agencies and get their reports and their notes. And they're kind of getting blown off by the Hampton County Sheriff's Department. At least that's what it looks like when you look at the reports. So Sergeant Moore then calls the People's Road and Funeral Home, okay? And he speaks to the funeral director. And he asks the funeral director if he has the clothing that Stephen Smith was wearing, all right? And he's told yes, it's in a paper bag with the body. Now, this is for Brittany and for Mallory and for chat. Stephen Smith has gone for an autopsy, okay, which he was wearing clothes prior to autopsy. He had to be disrobed, right? Okay. And his clothes were placed in a bag. That bag is now at the funeral home. Can anybody spot the problem?
Yeah.
Tell it.
Why is that bag not in evidence? Why is it at the effing funeral home?
Well,
What-
that would be called a break in the chain of custody. The chain of custody is broken
Because it would have gone straight from.
because it should have been held it shouldn't have gone to the funeral home at all.
Right.
SLED should have taken it with them.
Should have gone from the autopsy to
SLED.
SLED.
And then when SLED decided that, or when it was determined by the autopsy results that that it was a hit and run, and so therefore fell into the jurisdiction of the highway patrol. Because don't get me wrong, okay, a hit and run is a crime. You cannot hit somebody with your vehicle and drive off. You can't hit somebody with your vehicle, period. Okay.
Mhm.
You especially cannot hit, but accidents happen. Okay.
Yeah.
And if it were an accident, right? If it were, you're going down this dark road, okay, and you turn a corner or whatever, and boom, accidents do happen. But what you would normally do is stop, call 911 and attempt to render aid, and then stick around for 911 and the police and everything to get there so that you could give them a statement and you could help out, right? But so leaving the scene of an accident is also a crime. So all of these are crimes. It's just about it's a different way of investigating, right? A homicide investigation is very different than this kind. They're still a crime and they're still important. It's just about the way that they go about the investigation and who they talk to and all of these things. See, if it had been a homicide, if they'd have ruled it a homicide, the immediate thing would have been, which even though it wasn't, the highway patrol did start doing this. They did start to talk to family and friends and stuff initially. So that's what they tried to do. So they didn't do that. So when that happens, Moore is like, please stop everything that you're doing and stop preparing the body and to cover him up. And then he sends one of the other South Carolina Highway Patrol officers, Officer Rowell, to go and get the clothing. Okay. Now, let's see.
At that point, there's no telling how many hands have been on those clothes either.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, so this is probably what happened with the clothes. All right. So when an autopsy is done on a body, obviously the clothes come off and they're placed in a bag. Okay. But when the clothes come off, the people who are removing the clothes have their hands in gloves. The problem is the chain of custody, because they can't account for what happened to those clothes and who touched that bag or who might have opened up that bag and touched those clothes when it's out of a law enforcement officer's custody. So it wasn't placed in evidence by SLED. It wasn't taken into evidence by the Hampton County Sheriff's Office. It's just sitting at the funeral home unattended. So who knows? That's the problem.
And Jen, too, real quick, because I've been staring at these shoes forever.
Okay, sorry, because I paused it there forever too. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. No, I'm glad you did, or I would have lost my train of thought, because I wanted to just mention that's another thing that stuck out to me was his shoes. He has them, if they're tied at all, they're laced in such a weird way. And you even said this before. Usually if there's a hit and run or somebody's hit by a car, the shoes come off. And there's no reason why his shoes shouldn't have flown off of his feet.
Right. Exactly.
And with them being loose like that too, like that, even I'm just, I don't know how they could. This just bothers me. I just wanted to point that out about the shoes.
It's to me, the way that they will not. So for facing the shoes, right? It's obviously left to right. The way that the shoe on the left looks tied to me, and it's hard from this picture. I can't tell if at the bottom here, I'll put this is the lace right here, or if it is some type of like fold in the but it looks more like a lace. But if you look on this shoe right here, they're laced all the way through, but they're tied up underneath the tongue. My son used to tie his shoes this way so he could slip them on and off. They're on, I mean, they're tied, but they're, not tied well. And they definitely would fly off if you were hit by a vehicle. So it's a miracle that the guy that was driving down the street that found him didn't hit him laying in the street like that. So, yeah, I mean, it would have definitely fallen. I mean, they would have definitely flown off. I mean, I remember looking at some of the pictures after the Darrell Brooks Waukesha Christmas parade, where he drove his vehicle. And there's tons of pictures of the vehicle afterwards. And then there's also tons of pictures of the scene and the street, because it's a public street. It was a parade route.
Yeah.
And there are literally shoes that are littered in the middle of the road.
Well, especially because when they were running away too, if your shoe comes off, you're not stopping to grab it as well. But
yeah, exactly.
also I've heard that in general, when someone is hit by a car, that the shoes are one of the things that actually will come off first, which is crazy.
Isn't it? Well, Steph, it was a back road. Okay, but it was a paved road. I'll show you. I'll go back in a minute and I'll show you the actual scene. And it was a paved road. It wasn't like a dirt road or anything like that. No, it was paved. So yeah, it was absolutely a road. So now, go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
No, I'm mind blown that they were still on his feet and they weren't. And then the being in the middle of the road, because didn't they say that he was hit by a side view mirror?
That was one. It's not okay. So this is then it's about to get real deep in a second. Just give me one more 2 seconds and I'll get to it. All right. So then Sergeant Moore calls Presnell to try and understand what made her decide that Stephen was killed in a hit and run. And this is a quote from his report. She said that it was not a GSW and no bullets or fragments were found during the x-ray, and that it didn't look like a bullet wound in her opinion, and that since the body was found in the roadway, she could only theorize that it had to be a motor vehicle that caused the death. And he asked about any other injuries, and she said that it was only a partial dislocated right shoulder. And he asked if she had found any glass fragments or any other evidence of a motor vehicle, and she said no. And then he says, I asked her why she was ruling it as a motor vehicle accident and what she thought caused the head injury, he wrote. She told me it was not her job to figure that out. It was mine. Okay. So then Moore says, okay, this is again on the 8th. He instructs Rowell to go back to the scene and make sure the body had been marked and to start looking for, that's where you see that, who Oprah? I missed it. Let me look.
Shmita gifted.
Shamita. Thank you so much, babe. I appreciate that. Okay. So that's
Oprah.
I got an Oprah. All right. So that's this. Let me show you what that is, where they're talking about marking the body. Hold on. It's in the beginning. Hold on.
You know.
That's this. This is where Stephen's body was found. That's what they're telling them to go back to do. Okay. And then they, it's later. I'm getting there, Angela. I'm getting there. Okay. Getting there. This is the timeline of it's later. Okay. So then he instructs Rowell to go back to the scene and to make this mark that's marked right there, and then to start looking for debris in both directions. This is at like 6:14 p.m. on the 8th. He calls later, and Rowell calls later and tells him he could not find any debris at all. He then tells Mitch Altman and asks him to go to the scene. and see if he could find any debris. Altman goes to the scene and calls him back and said he could find nothing. Then Altman has him go to the scene and sit there between 3 and 5 a.m. to document what type of traffic is moving at that time in the morning. Okay. So they meet up with SLED and they're, explain all the things are getting explained. Okay. And, but they meet with Burke, who is from SLED and was one of the people that was, that sketched the, scene out. And all the people were saying that it was a GSW. And now all of a sudden, just hours later, are like, no, we don't think that's what it was. And we never said we thought that's what it was either. So no less than 4 times did they go back out, did the South Carolina Highway Patrol go back out to that crime scene and walk that scene 100 yards in each direction. Okay. And they never found any debris that would be indicative of a vehicle striking Stephen. There were, and this is the problem with the clothes, and this is where those little paint chips come in. There were some blue paint chips found on Stephen, but they're so tiny. They're about as big as the tip of a pencil, and they're not suitable because they're so tiny, they aren't suitable for comparison. And the problem also with those paint chips is that the chain of custody was broken when his clothing was sent with him to the funeral home. So that is going to be, I mean, they could, if they had been bigger paint chips, they probably would have tested them. But at the end of the day, it probably wouldn't have been able to be used in court because the chain of custody was broken. So, I mean, it might have gotten them to let's say they found them, they were bigger, they matched a specific vehicle. And through that, I mean, it would be complicated. They would have to find other evidence that could also have led them to the suspect, because the paint chips, frankly, were found on the clothes. And it's very likely that evidence would not be admissible in court because of the chain of custody issue. And it would be very, very problematic. So, yeah. Yes. So that's, at this point in the investigation, the South Carolina Highway Patrol, they're just trying to figure out how to even begin this investigation. Okay. And they are going back, and they've gone to the scene on July 9th, and there's no debris. There's not a ton of traffic at that time of morning on on that road. So it was difficult. All right.
Well, and at this point, then you can't even really fault law enforcement or get mad at them when they have someone kind of stalling their investigation by insisting that it's a hit and run. And
right.
I mean, they still speak out and agree that that's what they believe happened.
But even if it's a hit and run, they should still be investigating it the same, because it's still a crime.
Right. But let me ask you this. Every state has different protocols for what they do as far as investigations go. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that I have ever heard of an SA kit being done when you think that the victim was the victim died due to the result of being hit by a motor vehicle. I've never heard of that being done.
No, they would probably have to have some other evidence to point them towards it being needed. Now, I think the families can request it being done. But other than that, it would just make me wonder if maybe his clothes were disheveled or something like that, where they're able to physically see something and be like, this looks a little bit off, or, you know, something like that. Like, I know a lot of the times that'll happen, like when a shirt is buttoned and one button is off, or like
Right.
it's shifted a little. So I wonder if
Right.
it's something like that they saw, where it might have been something he did, but it was enough to warrant questioning. But then I also don't know if they were able to see something like that, why it wouldn't have been like an undetermined or something like that.
Right. I just, I don't know why they would. I mean, his hands were bagged, which is good, but you know, but the case, look, the investigation is still open. So what, we're lucky that we have as much as we have, to be honest
Right.
with you. But I don't know what other tests were done and what other, you know, what the results of those were. Now I want to talk, I want to say this real quick before we get asking more questions. I'm really trying to avoid talking on just this episode or just this show about potential suspects. Okay. Because the only reason why I'm doing that is because I want you guys to understand the way that this investigation from the very second was conducted. Okay. And I want you to then think forward to a potential trial, just like with the Alec Murdaugh trial. Okay. Not that I don't think that Alec did it. I absolutely do. And so did a jury. But my point is that you have to, the way that this scene was handled, and I'm talking about the entire scene, and the evidence was handled, it would make it will make it very difficult, to, you know, it's not going to, the defense would have a very easy time doing exactly what the Poot and Griffin did, which is to question their methods and the way that they did it, and the fact that it was handled by multiple agencies, and they all had, it's going to be problematic for them to have a ton of reports that do actually read. They are all talking about a GSW. Now you can think that they're, we can put that aside. The way to confirm a GSW is at autopsy. We can put that one aside. But at the end of the day, putting that aside, they were all on board and thought it was a homicide, not that a vehicle didn't, they never thought a vehicle had anything to do with it. It looked like somebody had unalived him and put him in that road. Maybe a vehicle brought him to that road, but the vehicle was not the cause of the injuries to his body. There was nothing, even if he'd have been hit by a side mirror, there would be debris.
Oh, for sure. I say this, and I'm sorry if y'all have heard this story, but it's so similar. My mother-in-law's friend was walking in the early morning hours. It was dark along the side of the road to work. She worked about 2 miles from her house, and she was struck by a vehicle side mirror, and it flung her off into a ditch. It killed her instantly. And by the grace of God, that man's mirror came off of his truck. So they were able to track, because it was a hit and run, they were able to track back that mirror to the exact vehicle that it belonged to. And that's what another reason I'm struggling with this, Jen, because this is a similar situation to what they're trying to say happened to him. And we're looking at an individual that's laying in the middle of the road with zero signs of road rash or any, like, I saw his clothes. I saw a picture of him on an episode of, I think it was a 2020 maybe, I don't know, but even his clothes weren't damaged.
No, they were not. And I'll say this, as far as who he may or may not have called that night, yes, there are a lot of rumors, and until there is some type, for me anyway, until there is some type of evidence that comes from law enforcement, like a Cellbrite phone dump, phone records, something, because even if they were not able to unlock his phone, they could still subpoena the phone carrier and find out incoming and outgoing calls and even texts, even in 2015. So the I don't even know if that was done, to be honest with you. And I mean, I would imagine it would only make sense that it would be done, but who knows whether it was done. So in order for, it's very difficult to have a suspect if, and the truth is that they have his time of death at around 3 o'clock in the morning, which we all know that that was done, that was it's an estimate.
Yep.
You know,
You're right.
so honestly, it's very difficult to say who, I'll say this. The only thing that I'm 100% certain of is that there is a vehicle did not do the did not cause the injuries that are on Stephen Smith's body, because the vehicle would do one set of injuries and the road, and it was asphalt, would do a different set of injuries on Stephen's body, and he did not have any of those injuries. Can you girls talk to chat for just a second? I have got to let the dog out. Can you hear his nails? He's pacing. He's got to go potty. So let him out.
Good.
I'm sorry, you guys.
No, I had to let Dexter out. He brought me my shoe upstairs. And I was like, he never does that.
Dexter said now.
He didn't, usually he'll just bark down at the door and I'll go down and let him out. He didn't even bark this time. He literally just brought the shoe upstairs.
He was being respectful and you were live.
All right, I'll be right back, okay? 5 minutes.
You're fine. You're good. Yeah. I just want to mention too, like the asphalt that Jen was talking about. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm so adamant about the whole road rash thing is because you can see it in the pictures and in the videos. That particular asphalt is that kind where, I don't know if they do it in your towns or whatever, and maybe it's just these little country places we live in, but it's like gravel that they laid down on the road, and they basically let the cars kind of like mat it down over time. It just does that make sense?
The loose gravel.
It's that loose gravel that the weight from all of the cars and the heat from the tires eventually, smooths it out. And that type of road is rough, very rough.
Those are always the ones that I always fall down on my bike on. Are the ones that are rough like that.
Yeah, but it's a very rough pavement. If he were, and not only that, Mallory, how does he end up in the middle of the street?
Well,
it just doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either. Yeah, I don't know. It's especially if they're claiming, like, the only way I could see that happening, which I don't think it happened at all, would just be if is like if someone tried to swerve, and that way they only got him, but he still would have had to have been in the middle of the road, which I don't think at all that he was. No. You know? So, but I don't know. It's just, it's there's too many things that don't add up to this. That, but now that the investigation is so messed up from the beginning, it almost makes you wonder, like, at this point, does the family just want to know what happened? Or are they still hoping for some type of justice legally? Like, at this point, what?
Yes, his mother very much believes that she believes that Stephen was a victim of a hate crime, and
Right.
that he very much does want justice still. My thing is with the phone,
Right.
because it took them so long to get into Paul's phone. But if they have reopened this investigation, I would say should only be a couple of months. If you look at, I can't remember how long they took to get into Paul's phone. Does somebody know? Wasn't it a few months it took them to get into Paul's phone, or was it longer than that?
I think it was longer, but
I
I'm not exactly sure.
Because I'm
I
with
didn't.
Jen. I think that phone's going to be a key to a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, not only that, but they're going to be able to kind of see if he pinged somewhere else beforehand.
Yeah.
And if there were other pings that happened also, like, in that area.
It was a year?
Yeah, I want to say it was something like that.
What? Okay, that bothers. How does it take that long in 2020? You know what I mean? Like,
It's got to be more legal things. It wouldn't have been like a physical thing, I don't think.
yeah.
Okay, so I think with the phone, I'm back, by the way, obviously. Hi, Butterfly Kisses. Hi, everybody that's come in that I haven't said hi to. Hi, glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Please give your girl a thumbs up. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The thing about the phone is this. Oh, God, now Alice is going to try to. No, get away, lady. The cat. Now the cat is acting a fool. Don't do it. She's going to try to jump from the bed to the desk, and I can tell you right now, she's going to knock some stuff wrong. Okay. So anyway,
you're
sorry.
right, Miss Arnold. I remember that because Apple
What did Miss-
gave Becky Patty hell about I'm drawing a blank here in the Delphi case. So yes, Apple is district.
So a hacker opened it, not FBI. Opened what, babe? So I think with the phone, it's gonna, if I'm remembering correctly, the way that it had to happen with Paul's phone is that another the FBI had to be invited in, contacted, and then all the subpoenas and everything, to do all the things had to be done. Now, I would think that now that we've heard it publicly, what they do in those situations when there is a phone that they want to get into but can't, and this is assuming that Stephen had a 4 or 6 digit PIN. If he had an 8-digit PIN, as we learned from, if he had a 8-digit PIN, as we learned from the Murdaugh trial, it can take a very, very long time. So I think the phone is going to be very key because we need to know who he was talking to and all that stuff, what he was saying, all the things. You know what I mean? We just don't have that yet. And it took a few months. It was a while. Like the crime happened in let's see, June 7th into, well, we'll give it's the 7th, but we'll give it the 8th. The 8th, right? Is when everything started. The investigation began in June 8th. And I want to tell you guys that they didn't have that video from Paul's cell phone until like April of 2022, if I'm remembering correctly. Paul's phone needed a passcode, and so does Stephen. Smith's. His is locked. In fact, here, I'll show you. It's oh crap, I have to send it to myself. Hold on, let me send myself this picture. I'll show you guys because it was in that video. There's a picture of Stephen's phone, and SLED does have the phone. It is in their possession. And when you look at this phone, y'all would never ever think that it came out of a victim whose death certificate talks about a hit and run. This phone is in perfect, pristine condition. There is not a scratch on this phone. And
Right.
it doesn't even appear to have a case on it,
And where,
if I'm remembering correctly.
where exactly was
In
it? Was it found in his pocket?
It was in his pocket.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me send this phone to myself. So I just don't understand why I'm still stuck on the essay kit that was done. And you know what's sad? If you Google Stephen Smith and you don't, even though the Murdaugh trial has been big news, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't put Murdaugh with Stephen Smith, you'll get other results.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to address that really quickly. And I also wanted to tell people that, yes, I'm guilty of it too, that I put the Alec Murdaugh trial and then I wrote, that's how the title was. But I have to use the algorithm to my advantage. And if I want people who are looking into Alec Murdaugh, but I also want them to know what happened with Stephen Smith, as long as that's why I put them together. I do not want Stephen Smith to be at all in any way, shape, or form overshadowed by Alec. I don't want it. Yeah. And it's sad.
So
and it breaks my heart.
I have a question.
No questions. Just kidding. What's that?
So for the essay kit,
mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's a possibility that there was some type of interference within I know we're not talking about who we think yet.
Right.
But
right.
that there was some type of interference that caused them to stop looking at it in a something happened type of way. And that's why that was done at first, because at first they were following it like they should have, but then they didn't after the fact. You know what I mean? Like once
mm-hmm.
people started understanding what was happening, that something could have been said or done where it kind of just nipped the whole investigation in the butt. You know what I mean?
I will say this. The investigation took a complete different trajectory after the autopsy was performed and the medical examiner came out with her findings. And even though the medical examiner said what she said and did what she did, as far as that goes, and made her determinations,
mm-hmm.
Duncan never believed that it was a hit and run. And so he actually, thankfully, investigated it more like a homicide. But yes, I think that I don't know what the interference was or who
mm-hmm.
is the person that interfered or why it was interfered in.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot for the life of me figure out why it was ever ruled as a hit and run.
Right.
Or how it's just one person that's so adamant about it over anybody else.
Correct.
Everyone else, one person.
And when the autopsy report, part of the findings talk about like historical information, and the historical information that she's talking about is the fact that he was found in the road. So the historical information that she's saying led to her determining that it was a hit and run is that he was found in the road. That historical information. I'm baffled by it, you guys. I'm completely baffled by it. And yes, July 8th of 2015. All right, now let me show you guys his picture. Hold on, let me upload it real quick. Excuse me. No, I did not want to add a video clip. add a background.
I think it would be awesome, like the next segment to this you do. You play the recording of the officer on the scene.
Oh, yes.
That was really
I know
interesting.
what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way okay, so the next thing when we talk about this next, I want to get into that part of the investigation, like who came forward. Are you kidding me? Oh, it did it. Sometimes the drag and drop works and sometimes it doesn't, and it's kind of annoying. Also, I put it in the wrong place. I don't want it as a background. Shit, I want it as an overlay. Hold on. Please hold. Still doing it. Hold on. Hold on. I want to talk about like that part of the investigation, who they spoke to, who came forward, when they came forward, what they said. I want to talk about what his family thinks. I want to talk about all of that. And I think the last part of it, I want to talk about the Murdaugh connection. And the reason I want to do that separately from the rest of the suspects is because it's a little convoluted and it's kind of hard to follow. Like it was talked about they were mentioned, the boys, the Murdaugh boys. That's actually what was said, were mentioned very early on in the investigation. Okay, like within the first week or something like that. Here's the phone. You see it's in complete pristine condition. And his passcode is 1, 2, 3, 4 digits.
Huh.
Right? Isn't that what this
I
means
haven't
right
seen
here?
an iPhone with a button in a long time.
Well, this is 2015, babe. Go get in your way back machine. But right here, right? These numbers, that's what this means under here. Where the words are at the top, and then you in between
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a 4. Okay, so there you go. At least it'll be less. It'll be
Right.
less difficult.
See, but the thing is that the button though is also a fingerprint thing, so they could have potentially used his fingerprint to unlock the phone as well.
If he were the fingerprint, that's the other thing. Now,
well, it says Touch ID at the top.
Right. Here's the thing. They did try that and it didn't work. And his mom's fingerprint was supposed to be the backup Touch ID.
Yeah.
And her fingerprint didn't work either.
Why?
However, I don't know. And I'll tell you this. I can't find that bit of information anywhere else but in Low Country. It's the only place it was mentioned. If it had been mentioned in more documentaries that were more easily accessible to the public, like Oxygen, 48 Hours, ID, because those don't require you to have, you just have to have cable, right?
Right.
So, but HBO Max is required to watch Low Country, and HBO Max is really strict. It would be, I'm sure it's out there somewhere if you're very, if you really wanted to, and we're bound and determined, you could. But the fact that whenever I bring that up, not a lot of people have heard that, tells me that I'm right and that it was only mentioned in Low Country. Huh. Why? I don't know. And it's not been mentioned since. And I would like to, this is the other thing I want to do. I need to go back and I want to tell you guys which documentaries, how they were released in chronological order, because that makes a difference too. You can have multiple documentaries covering the same thing, but this is an open investigation. And I think that Low Country might actually have come out first, and that it wasn't supposed to come out, that little bit of information. And so that's why it's not been mentioned again. Huh. Because it came out from law enforcement. I just cannot remember which highway patrol officer said it.
Interesting. Huh. There's just so much to this that makes my brain hurt.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, my brain is hurting.
well,
and
even yeah, even knowing
and my heart.
Yeah, but even like knowing the facts of the case, there's always still more that you find out that just makes it be like, how did this like get to where it is? Like, I just don't understand how some of these things occur and how the series of events can be so screwed up.
Yes, so done with it. I'm okay, so there JB also said that I'm right, that that's the only place that they've ever heard it mentioned too. And I'm about 92% sure that it was an officer who said it. But I could be wrong. I mean, I've watched so many things about Stephen Smith's case, all the cases really, and the only place that you can go to watch something specifically and only about Stephen Smith without having to hear anything about any of the other situations that are entangled with the Murdaughs is murder. Oh my God, I never say it right. Murdaugh Murder Podcast.
Right.
That's the only place that has dedicated episodes to only Stephen Smith. And they have a ton of stuff they have amazing coverage on it. They have they have amazing sources as well. So they've done extensive work but they've been doing it for a very, very long time. All the way back, when this started. And as far as, what else I learned about Hampton County, which I found to be interesting, it's actually a very poor county. I think the mean income is like 30,000.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. So I just thank you, LFT. I appreciate you dropping that. I thank you very much. So
if that's the mean income, would that give them more power? Median income?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. Absolutely. I did not know that.
I didn't either. From all what I took away from all of the documentaries where they interviewed townspeople is that there were either the haves or the have-nots. There was no in between. Either you were very wealthy or you were poor. No in but not I mean not I'm not saying that there were absolutely nobody in between. There obviously surely there were. But it was few and far between.
Yes, Dragon, I love you.
And Emily is right. Part of the problem, part of the reason why Hampton County is the way that it is because there is no industry there due to the fact that the way that the laws are written and the venue laws specifically where you can sue. Nobody wants there's not even a Walmart in Hampton County, if that tells you anything. Mo, if they have new leads, SLED has not said anything officially or publicly if they have any new leads. There is some scuttlebutt on the internet, which I actually am leaning towards believing, which is that they do have leads, but the leads do not lead them to anybody in the Murdaugh family. But I do want to absolutely get into that because I want to talk about that part of the investigation. I want to talk about how many times that name came up in interviews, what happened with that whole situation. But I will say this, and I hope this doesn't deter anybody from watching further episodes, but the truth is, I'm not so I don't actually think that Buster had anything to do with this. I don't know if there was another Murdaugh that had something to do with it potentially, but I don't think that Buster had anything to do with this in any way, shape, or form. Meaning, I don't think he participated in
Nope.
the unaliving of Stephen, nor do I think he was potentially the catalyst for the unaliving of Stephen. I don't think that there was a relationship like that there.
I feel the same exact way now.
I think that, yeah, I'm not doing well with the New Times either, Mary's. I'm not at all. Yeah. Let me see. What did Jeannie say? Let me look. Jean. I'm sorry, Jean. Let me scroll up. I wish Shamita, I'm sorry about your son, babe. I hope he feels better. Can't find it. Crap. Do you girls know what? Oh, wait, I think I might have just missed it. Oh, about redheaded people. I just, there's Lieutenant, he did, yes, so done with it. Moore did speak, but so did Duncan. And I will say what I said on Brittany's panel a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this. If you listen to, she's repeated it multiple times in multiple documentaries. It's Stephen's cousin. If you listen to what she says, he said, the words that he used don't sound to me like he is describing somebody his own age, meaning somewhere between 18 and at the highest 25. He sounds like he's talking about somebody much older than he is. And I'm talking about 30 between 35 and 40. It sounds like he's talking about somebody older than he is. To me,
Yeah.
that's my impression. Of course, I didn't, I'm hearing this from his cousin, and I believe that she is repeating what he said. But
Yeah.
because I didn't hear it from Stephen, and I don't actually, there isn't anything so far that I've seen really of Stephen talking, which I wish there was. Surely there's got to be in 2015 something, a Facebook video. Was there Instagram in 2015?
Yeah.
Snapchat. I know there was Snapchat, some video where we can hear Stephen Smith speaking, because I just would like to hear how he talks. I'd like to hear what kind of words he uses.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pepper, hey, Melissa, it is, look, they did some things, and I'll tell you, I do have a side eye due to the fact, and then I want to talk, then we might have to end this, but because I can't stay on here too long, and I don't like for the lives to go like more than a couple of hours so people can watch them on the replay. But the thing that I find interesting is that Joel Smith, which is Stephen Smith's father, okay, him and Sandy were notified around between 10:15 and 10:30, okay? And the next call that Joel received was from Randy Murdaugh offering to take his to help him to take the case for free. And the reason the reason I don't understand it and I'm puzzled by it is because it would be more than 2 hours before Stephen would have even, Dr. Presnell didn't even start the autopsy until like 12:19 or 12:30, somewhere in there. Okay. So how would a hit and run, you could sue somebody. I mean, you can sue somebody for a wrongful death, but I mean, before you even know what's happened, you're already offering to get a lawsuit going. It just didn't make any sense to me. It just didn't make any sense to me. Okay, so the way that I have heard it, Pointer Lover, is that it wasn't, they did not show, I've never heard of Alec showing up on the scene. It's Randy. And the way that I understood it is on July 9th, when the highway patrol was out there taking pictures and walking up and down 100 yards in both directions 87 times. It was like 4 times, but still.
Yeah. Same
Yeah,
thing.
but still. So it's 80, it might as well be 87.
Yep.
Randy was out there. I
Right.
have not heard of Alec at all being involved in this case specifically.
Yeah.
Well, there are.
I was just going to say, I have been leaning more towards a different Murdaugh being involved. Hi.
Well, I'm torn on 2 fronts on that. Go ahead,
Okay.
Mallory. Sorry.
I was just saying hi. I'm still here.
No, you were
think.
saying you were leaning towards a different Murdaugh.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get into who until
Yeah.
we get into that part. But yeah.
I'm with y'all on that theory too. But I also I'm a little split on it. Like I think maybe it could possibly be a different Murdaugh, like you said, or
Hey, Wolfie.
potentially. Remember the attorneys for Stephen Smith's family? They said that they were looking into a couple of people that weren't related to Walter Murdaugh.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like side-eyeing that a little bit too. I'm like, I wonder what this could be. So it is interesting.
And see,
Right.
the other thing about this. We all, I think, want justice. Hey, criminality. Good to see you, babe. Dr. Aaron Presnell with MUSC, Medical University of South Carolina. Same place where Maggie and Paul's autopsies were performed. Not the same doctor. I don't think Dr. President. I don't believe that she was still employed as a medical examiner for much longer after Stephen Smith's autopsy, if I'm remembering correctly. I love the fact that there were documentaries done, but this is my problem with documentaries in general. The only one that I have not watched so let's see. I've watched Low Country. I watched the Oxygen one. I watched the ID one. And I watched part of the 48 Hours one. Okay. The problem with the documentaries is whenever they interview a different person, and sometimes the same person, sometimes the story varies just slightly. And I don't think that it makes it very difficult to separate rumor from fact. And the only reason I don't know if Alec was ever out there. The only person that I ever distinctly remember that I would think would be of everybody the most trustworthy, which is not saying much in this case, but would be, it was on Low Country, and I believe it was Duncan who talked about it. And he told the story that Randy was out there when he was taking pictures, and he said that Randy appeared to him to be more interested in what they were doing than whatever the heck Randy was supposed to be doing, because I think he was out there before they got there, if I'm remembering correctly. And so I think that the fact that he would mention it as a law enforcement officer is more, I don't know if I can make it more, I don't know. It's one of those things that stood out to me, and I've not heard it said. I've not heard Alec be included, but if you tell me which documentary it is, I will go and watch it, because I like to see for myself, and I want to see what they said, like the whole story, like what all they say. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's important too.
Yeah. I think so too.
I'm curious though why Randy was out there.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I want to know what he was doing out there, because it isn't like Joel Smith said, "Oh, you'll help us out," and there's some kind of like contract between them, because if he said he's going to do it for free, then obviously there wouldn't be like a contingency or a retainer or anything, so there wouldn't be that type of paper trail, but maybe something like like there's other ways that you can, there's another, he can be retained without actually being, without actually, excuse me, some type of retainer actually being paid. You can still sign something that says he's your attorney.
Right. Huh.
Sorry. I'm trying to remember what that's called. But obviously, maybe I have a little demon inside me that was trying to come out. I felt like what it must feel like Nicole Kessinger in that interrogation room when she was like, never, and then she was like coughing a little bit, I think my inner demon was trying to come out just then, and it was causing me to choke. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So there's a lot of,
don't let it come out just yet.
I'm not, stay in there, Dubuque, stay in there. There's a lot of interesting coincidences, like when you watch the Netflix documentary, and I will say that one I was very interested in what Paul's ex-girlfriend, not Mallory, what is his ex-girlfriend's name?
Morgan.
Should know that. I was very interested in what Miss Morgan had to say. And I was very interested in the fact that she says that early in her and Paul's relationship, she was sent a Facebook message talking about, in reference to Stephen Smith. I find that to be interesting. Interesting in that it seems that on some level, whether even if you take away the potential of Buster and Stephen being in some type of relationship, let's take that out of the equation completely. I find it very, very interesting that that those rumors about Buster and Paul being involved go back a long ways.
Yeah,
so long.
Agree.
That actually kind of threw me off a little bit in my research when I heard Stephen's Smith's sister say that. She said that people just randomly walk up to her, like at the food store, and tell her that it was both the Murdaugh boys. But I mean, how easily would that be, Jen, to tell if somebody wanted a person to go tell her that, just to get that rumor out there?
Well, right. The problem that I have is well, I'll say this. There's a lot of information out there about Stephen Smith's case. There's more information that's out there, like investigative information, documents from the actual investigation. That's what I should say. than I've seen in an open case in a very, very long time. But she did criminality. That's true. But I think that let's think about it like this. What do all of the documentaries that are covering that we've been watching, what do they all have in common? They're all covering Alec Murdaugh, right?
Yeah.
And they're all covering the Murdaugh family. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
tying him to them.
Correct. If they don't mention Buster or Paul in any way, shape, or form, right? How do they tie Stephen Smith's case in with the rest of the cases that they're tying in to with the Murdaugh documentaries? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want Stephen's case on everybody's minds. I want people thinking about it. I want people to, I would love if somehow, some way that somebody is watching YouTube from 2015 that knows something and not even watches my video. It just pops up in the algorithm and they see the title and it jogs some type of memory. They don't even have to watch it.
Right.
That's what I hope happens.
Me too.
That's what I hope. Just because you don't know what you don't know.
It's something about his case. I don't know if you feel the same way. Probably so, because you seem stuck on it probably more than me even. But I even told Mallory this. I said, I don't know what it is, but something about his case tugs at my heartstrings so much. And it's hard to let it go.
It just feels like it doesn't seem like this is a extremely complicated case, and so it feels like they should be so much further into the investigation. It feels like this should have been resolved maybe at most 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Afterwards, the fact that we're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 8 years later, and we're no closer.
Especially if his vehicle was, if someone else planted his vehicle there, or if his body really was placed in the road. With today's technology, and we see what they can do with cases now, it's incredible.
There'd have to be something.
Exactly, whether it was a fingerprint on the inside of the door, on the stair. Yeah,
DNA anywhere inside the car if he was not the one that left it there.
Right.
And I find
something.
It's very interesting too that they lost that SA kit.
Yes.
That bothers me so much.
Correct. And I'll say this. So there is a channel that does have some interviews on there. It's not a Murdaugh murder podcast. It's a different one. And they talk about the Stephen Smith case too. This channel does. And they do play a partial interview with a guy that claims to be Stephen Smith's boyfriend. And they also play a partial interview that his sister, Stephen Smith's sister, gave to the Highway Patrol. Okay. And you just have to kind of listen to it and make your own judgments. What I'll say is this. There was an implication that Stephen Smith may have been working with some type of escort service or on his own. Okay. And the channel uses an interview with Stephanie, his sister, to sort of back this up. But the questions that are asked, what I'll say is this. I never heard from her directly say that Stephen did that kind of thing. And I'm not, even if he did, I'm not judging. It's just that there's so many rumors going around that why I am hesitant to come out and say something like, I feel like it was Buster, or I feel like it was this one or that one, is because as that's not justice for Stephen either. And I do believe in our justice system, and I do believe in being responsible when reporting things. And if it is a rumor, I promise you guys, I will tell you, this is a rumor. This is the source of the rumor. This is how many times the rumor has come up, and you can make your own determination whether you believe that rumor has any validity to it or not. But I promise I will never state something that I learned while looking up any case, including this one, and state it as fact if it's not, because I think that's problematic. I think that gets us nowhere. If there's all kinds of rumors, and we got to we got to do better than that. I think as far as reporting on crimes like this, on crimes goes, I think we need to be careful. We need to be careful.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, the truth of the matter is, on a whole ass side note, I would do this with any case. Okay, I would not want to repeat rumor as fact or speculate and point fingers and accuse anybody. But I really do not want to accuse a family that is as litigious as the Murdaugh family is. I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. If any of the Murdaughs are listening to me, I ain't got shit. Okay, I don't know what you could sue me for. I mean, you can't have Alice. She's, that's the only thing in the, I don't own my children. They're free. And I really don't like to think that I own my cat, but she is a fucking superstar and she is pretty cool and the mascot for this channel, but you can't have her.
No, I'm with you. The first night that we talked about this, Mallory, you remember, someone came in and was trying to tell us about the escort stuff. And Jen, I had a whole panic attack and a half. I'm not even going to lie.
I
was
bet
like,
you did.
Lord, I ain't heard nothing about that. I don't know. Because you don't want to put somebody who's deceased, and then his family's out there grieving,
Exactly.
And
exactly.
So it did it. I was like, oh, I'm not even touching that with a 10-foot pole.
And yeah. And the thing is that if the officer asked a direct question to his sister. What he didn't get is a direct answer. And what I'm in the okay, you guys saw how I edited the 911 call together.
Yeah.
Okay. That can be done. Interviews can be clipped. Look at what I did to the video for Alec Murdaugh. I mean, those can be clipped. So what I'm telling you is, from what was played on that channel, there was not a direct answer from the sister. Can I tell you that she never gave a direct answer in the interview or a different interview? No, I can only tell you what I heard in that clip on that channel. And so that's why I kind of don't even understand why it was used, because it actually doesn't prove anything. So
I agree.
And it's I think that whenever, okay, I'll tell you guys a little personal story from the archives of Jen Liu. So we all know and remember the case of Amber Hagerman, and I've talked about this before. Okay. She is the little girl she was 9 years old, from Arlington, Texas. She was riding her bike in the parking lot off of Abrams in the Winn-Dixie parking lot. Okay. It was the Winn-Dixie was closed. It didn't work. It was abandoned. It was all boarded up and stuff, but kids used to ride their bikes in there because they, it was off. They could ride fast and there was no traffic because the store was closed down. Okay. And it was a neighborhood. It backed right up to a neighborhood, Abrams and Browning, Arlington, Texas. So when she was found, she went to the daycare that I worked at when I was pregnant with my son, and I had just come back from maternity leave when this happened. So I went to her wake. But I'm telling you guys, the number of rumors that were swirling, and Arlington is not small in the way that this city is at all by any means. The number of rumors that were swirling around with that case would make your head spin. People were saying that she was dressed up, that she had on like a bear costume. Other people said it was some other kind of costume that she was wearing. There was all kinds of rumors. There was even a rumor that the cops found the guy that did this, and as they were going to arrest him, he committed SH. And how he was caught is that neighbors had noticed after after her murder that he was burying clothes in his backyard, and that when he was confronted, he had the gas in the stove going, and there was like a standoff, and he blew up the house. Now there was a house that blew up. Whether that is related in any way, shape, or form to the Amber Hagerman case, I don't know. Those were the kinds of rumors that were going around at that time. There were all kinds of rumors. And it's unfortunate because that happens in every case. And so, and they have to, when they talk to people and when they're interviewing people, and now you got to think about who the kind of people they're going to be interviewing with respect to Stephen Smith. They're going to be interviewing his peers. They're going to be interviewing 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old people. And think about how you were at that age and the rumors that you would repeat. So the fact that their names came up, what I find problematic is yes, their names came up. What's problematic to me is that their names came up so many times and they were never interviewed. That's what is problematic to me. That doesn't mean they did it. It just means that for whatever reason in that town with law enforcement, whenever the Murdaugh name came up, things got handled in a different way when it came to them. If any of us, if our names came up in a freaking investigation 72 times, which is not how many times it was in the I can't remember how many times Paul and Buster came up, or the Murdaugh boys in the investigation, but more than twice, more than 3 times, right? If it were us, we would be getting a phone call at the very minimum. But that didn't happen. And that's what's problematic for me. And that is why there's the frustration. Good night, Corky. Thanks for being here, babe. I appreciate you. It's problematic. And then let's say and I hope they do get a suspect, but the same things that came up in the Murdaugh trial from the defense are going to come up in this trial. Well, why didn't this name came up 87 times and you never questioned them one time? Why? They're going to start to point to sloppy police work, and that's problematic.
Yeah. The whole thing is, like I said, just driving me nuts and hurting my brain.
It is.
I do look forward though to you, like, it sounds like you're gonna break it up into 3 parts.
Yes.
I look forward to that. And
I'm definitely gonna do it like this episode will be a standalone video, and the second one and the third one will all have a standalone video. But the next thing on the agenda is Vallow and Boone. So on Wednesday, I will be over at Alec. See, Alec has ruined the name Alex for me. Alex Erickson's channel, the lovely Alex Erickson, Allie. And we're going to talk about Lori and Alex's relationship as brother and sister. And then that's Wednesday. Tomorrow night, if you guys are up for it, I hope you guys can join me. I think what I'll do is a dramatic read of the Sarah Boone letters to her attorney.
Yes, I told you I wanted to do this one with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've been holding off Sarah Boone because I said I've sworn oath to Jen Lou we're doing this together, so I'm ready.
She really has.
I want to do. Good. I appreciate that. I want to do it. I'm excited to do it. Yes, I think I will do a dramatic reading of the letters between Sarah Boone and her attorney, because they are not to be missed. And I want to talk a little bit also, just do that and talk about her case, because it is coming up, and I am very, very curious. She is, and Melissa is going to be covering this trial too. So you guys go check her out too, because I find it fascinating to have multiple people giving their perspectives, because things that like me and Brittany and Mallory on this panel, when we talk about it, might think are like what we are stand out for us as far as evidence, or our perception of the evidence, might be one way. And then Melissa has something else. And then Allie brings another thing to the table. And, I just think you get and criminality. And I just think you get a whole well-rounded, more well-rounded view of what's going on. And I'm always interested in hearing what other people have to say about stuff like this. So yeah, that's
why it doesn't really, like, what some people get aggravated if there's like a couple people covering the same case. But for me, I think it's still different. Like you just said, I wouldn't be upset about somebody covering the same case as me, because what you do with this case is going to be different than what I would do.
Exactly. What you think, okay, I'll give this as a perfect example. I had totally forgotten that Boone took the day that they came out and everything happened or whatever, she, goes and drinks from the hose. Chugs from the hose, and I had totally forgotten that she did that completely. And Melissa reminded me of that, and then when I have you up here and we get an opportunity to talk just about Sarah Boone, Mallory and Brittany, I can't wait for you guys to tell me the things that you guys remember or that you noticed.
Right.
Because I be forgetting shit. Let's be honest. We've met me. We're familiar with my brand. I forget. I can't keep it all upstairs all the days. It's too much.
We've been having nostalgia with what's Tisha the last couple of days.
Oh, bless her. She does the damn ass most.
She does do the most.
It's too much.
Oh, you just wait, Jen. We're going to be wore out trying to keep up with that one.
It'll be good, because we'll be worn out covering cases and not getting into trouble. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I don't know. I think I still try and get into trouble.
Mallory, we're going to be, listen, I'm not really optimistic. Nobody would ever mistake me for an optimist. I'm mainly a realist. I won't say whether the glass is half empty or half full. I'll just be like, there is a glass and something is in it. But for this little moment, we're going to be half full and optimistic and say we're going to be so busy it's going to keep us out of trouble. Shmeda will probably still get into some trouble. This is true.
See, I just don't think that's any fun. I think there has to be a little bit of trouble.
It's mainly for me, Mallory. I mainly need to stay out of trouble. I need to stay focused. I need to keep my head down and do my work. Behave.
I was gonna say my trouble days are over. I'm in retirement, so you're on your
own. Yeah, I'm the trouble now.
Of what will be the Sarah Boone case? Because I have a timeline if you want it. When I go over it, I've done it. But I do want to see what any creator that covers any trial, I always go and check out, because I always want to know what they think, what their perception of the evidence and things that have been said and their take on it. You know, like I'm always curious and interested in reading about that, and hearing about that.
Yeah, and with everyone having different backgrounds and being biased to different things, it's always interesting to hear different takes on different things, because something may stand out to one person and not someone else. And being able to have the openness to hear the different takes is, I think, really important when it comes to looking at these cases.
Well, yeah. Can you imagine? The jury is going to be looking at it differently with different sets of eyes. They're not going to see all of the evidence the same way. I have something for you guys. Nobody leave. Just give me like 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. I got to find it right quick, but I will.
Well, you know what? I feel like I got that for the first time, and maybe it's because I don't do trials much. We just talk about cases, but I kind of felt like that with the Murdaugh trial. Like we were kind of, I don't want to say we got well, yeah, it felt like a jury experience for me.
Yes. We all watched the exact same trial. It isn't like one channel or one creator was privy to evidence that another channel wasn't, right? We all watched, thanks to you, Law and Crime, we all watched the same trial, okay? But each and every one of us had a different takeaway from each and every piece of evidence that was presented and each and every witness, which I thought was and none of us fought.
Yeah.
We didn't go to war. There was no, what's the word? How do you say it? There was no scorched earth. Yeah. I didn't end any bloodlines. None of that happened. It was fantastic. I think I was so proud of our community for behaving like adults. I knew we could do it. Take that, Banfield. Always talking about the online true crime community.
Thank you. I saw those jabs we got from her.
I don't appreciate it at all.
Jen, okay.
Yes,
so we're with you, but well, you're already doing. Never mind. You're doing You're doing Allie tomorrow, or is it
Wednesday?
Okay. Well, I might need you a little earlier tomorrow because we want to talk about the Mallory, help me. I'm drawing a blank here. The search warrants. All the different
for Koberger. I heard that there was a bunch of that there was some interesting unsealings as of late.
Yes.
I'm just surprised at how many banks these kids, when I say kids, young adults.
Or what about the 3 redacted that are connected to everyone? Like every bank that they got a search warrant for all 4 of the victims, there's 3 redacted people too.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Kaylee stands out where they seized things from her, and I've said from the beginning I thought Kaylee was the target.
So. Really?
And Mallory finally said tonight, Brittany, okay, I might can consider that. Like that's the closest I've ever got Mallory to say to consider that Kaylee's maybe the victim or not the victim, the target.
Well, it's just based on where the search warrants were focused. It's definitely interesting to kind of see where that path goes. But yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts too, Jen.
Okay, absolutely.
Like how I put you on the spot, don't you?
No, it's fine. No, I'm trying to. Okay, you guys ready for my surprise?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
No malicious.
Did it do it?
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it. Hold on. Let me see if I'll do it again.
No malicious. He is a whole mess and a half. Lord help her.
That's from Dr. B. That's her favorite one. No malicious. I need to do one and clip her where she says, "Not intentional. Not intentional." It's my favorite too. No malicious. That Sherry Christie is Sarah Boone. from Florida.
That's going to be a hard one. I'm going to struggle with that one, but I'm glad to do it with you because you make it kind of feel okay to laugh and not be so, like it's not so disrespectful versus when I'm on my own. Because I'm
Oh,
telling you, with her, it's hard not to.
Okay,
She,
look. There is a difference between laughing at the cockamamie BS story and explanation that comes out of her mouth than laughing at what she did. What she did was horrible. I mean, you can hear him on that video. You can hear him saying he can't breathe. You can hear him begging for help. She's cruel. She's absolutely cruel. But when somebody gives an explanation for something, it's for a video specifically. Let's just start there. That is so
right.
out of the realm of any type of possibility, reality. Like it's not even in the same galaxy as something that reasonably could have happened. I mean,
Like,
you can't not say something about that. And the thing is that it's not even not only are her explanations ridiculous and cockamamie poppycock baloney, right? Look, watch me, YouTube. Not a cuss word just then. Not only are they that, but the way that she puts them together, the order in which she arranges her words are hilarious. She can say things like I didn't do it maliciously. That's the actual word that you would want to use. But here she comes, or no malice. There was no malice. But what does she say? What does she say? Let's hear it.
No malicious.
That doesn't mean anything. That's not an actual claim. That's the problem. That's why it's funny. Because no malicious. How about the unintentional nap? I went upstairs and got ready for bed, but didn't intend to go to sleep. Who does that? Who? Sarah Boone. That's who. So yeah, when she says ridiculous stuff, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to laugh at her. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think what she did is terrible. And I'm very interested, and I'm going to listen. Let me say this. She's going to use the battered woman's defense, okay? And that is they did have a contentious relationship, okay? And that is true. All right. And if she had unalived him with a firearm or with a sharp-edged object, okay, in the heat of the moment, I would have, as defending herself, I would feel very differently, okay? But the fact of the matter is that putting somebody in a suitcase, whether they got in there willingly or not, which I suspect that he did. It was probably like a dare. See if you can fit. All right. Then it got out of hand. And when he was asking for help and she taunted him, it became something different.
Right.
So I love naps too. And this is my thing about the dadgum naps and going to sleep. When people wanted to own that, own it. If law enforcement called me up tomorrow and asked me what I did today on March, is it the 13th? Yes, 13th, between 2 and 4 p.m., you know what I would say? Well, I took a nap from 2 to about 3:30. I got up. I drank some iced tea. I smoked a cigarette. I think I had a snack size, like the little tiny squares of Three Musketeers, knowing I shouldn't have. And I had some regrets and a little bit of a shame spiral, and then I ignored it. That's what I did. I would not say, oh, I don't take naps. Hell no. My nap is my alibi. Everybody knows that I'd be taking a nap at 2 o'clock. Everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
So stop saying that you didn't mean to fall asleep. I mean, it'd be different if you're behind the wheel of a vehicle. Then, yes, probably say, shit, I didn't mean to fall asleep. But if you took your ass up the stairs, put your PJs on, washed your face, brushed your teeth, and got into the bed, and then try to tell somebody, I didn't mean to fall asleep, girl, bye. Yes, you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did.
Preach, Jen.
I don't like it when people come when they don't even try. If you're going to have a story, can you please try? Can you please try to so that it comes out? All those thoughts that were floating around in your brain, and those are the ones that won. Those are the ones that came out of your mouth. That's the excuse you went with. You had over 11 hours to think about this. That's the one that this is the idea that won out of all the other ideas. That's kind of scary. Plus all of the arts and crafts that were going on that night too. That one is just odd. Okay.
Yeah.
We did arts and crafts. We listened to music. It sounds like daycare to me. But whatever. I've never been in trouble before. I excel at everything. I'm smart. My favorite is when somebody is in the cop shop accused of a heinous crime and they scream, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I'm nice, damn it.
Yep. That's what I yell at everyone every time I go out in public.
Me too, Mallory. With the
not even lying.
When I get
Especially
up in the morning,
at the dentist.
Yes, when I get up in the morning after I've had my coffee, I stand out on my front porch and I yell, I'm a nice person. You fuckers. That's what I do.
Hey, Jen, what is it on SNL? I can't think of it, but he's like,
Stuart
and
Smalley.
doggone it, people like me. Yes,
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And dangle, and what is it? And
doggone it, people like me.
Doggone it, people like me. Al Franken.
And you're screaming that. That's all I could think about. I'm a good person.
Oh, speaking of Leilani. So her arraignment is coming up. And I don't know how they're going to, I don't know that it will be that it will be live streamed. Can't even talk. I should just end this now. I don't know if it will be live streamed, but there is a media order and she is not to be filmed in her restraints, et cetera, which tells me that there's going to be cameras in the courtroom. I'm very interested to see how that's going to go.
Me too. I have a feeling that this heifer is going to be another Letitia. I think that we're going to be hearing of her getting in trouble in the coming months.
Here's what I am curious about with her. So early on in the proceedings thus far, one of the most interesting things that has been filed on behalf of Leilani through her attorney is these CPS records. And the reason that they want these CPS records is because they're integral to her defense and he cannot defend his client without it. I want to know what it is in those CPS records that will help Leilani. That I'm very curious about. That this attorney thinks will be beneficial to his client. That's what I want to know. Why do they want that? They want that for a reason. Why?
Right.
And now I want to know. I don't even give a rat's fat kneecap. I don't film her in her shackles. Don't film the family. Don't listen. I don't even need film. You can just train the camera to the back of her head for all I care. I just want to know I just want to hear it. 9 times out of 10, I don't actually physically watch the trial. It's on and I'm able to see the picture if I want to, but most of the time I'm listening and not watching. So I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what's in those CPS documents that this attorney thinks is going to help his client, because I can't imagine there being anything in there that would be beneficial to her. But she is, well, the attorney is a male, but it's for Leilani, but they are adamant that they have to have those. So I want to know.
I think it's probably going to be something minor and stupid, like
I don't even care at this
maybe.
point. Now, I just want to know. And if it is minor and stupid, you guys do not worry. Your girl will take the opportunity to say, really, you filed for that. Not only was it not helpful to you, it is minor and stupid. And I will make fun of her.
She's just the type, Jen, that like I could just see her banking on that report, like that I can't even talk, CPS report, because she passed a random drug test or something, and she'd be like, see,
No
I was
malicious.
trying to get my kids back.
Right. Yeah. I find it interesting that, because it's not this. I mean, it's not so much that they want them, it's that they intend to use them. Meaning these are things that are sealed because obviously because they're dealing with minors, but they want them unsealed and read in open court, which is interesting to me.
Do you think maybe she's going to try to point the finger at, what's the boyfriend's name again? I forgot his name.
Danny?
Maybe?
It's possible.
I could see that.
It's possible.
I mean, that's who she was like blaming.
That's what I think. Yeah, what Aaron is saying, and this is what you're saying too, Brittany. Yes, because he rolled on her, and I'm curious about it. But see, the thing about this is this is where this becomes problematic. Okay, when you ask for something like this to be unsealed, okay, when it's unsealed and you intend to use it to help your case, likewise, the state is going to use it to bolster theirs. So if this is granted, and I don't know if it will be granted with a caveat as far as maybe limited, and it can only be between these dates, how they're going to do it. But make no mistake, if there is anything in there that is negative towards Danny, I guarantee you there's going to be more that is negative towards Leilani, and it'll be a double-edged sword. So who knows? Oh, we're just talking about cases that are coming up right now. We were talking about the Quentin Simon Leilani case. So, all right, girls. Well, I think we should end it.
Dang, Mallory
knocked
fell
his
off.
water. Yeah, no, she sent me a message in the back chat.
Okay.
I think we should end it, you guys. I'm tired. I know. Well, I'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to talk tomorrow night. What I say, Sarah Boone, and I will do a dramatic reading of the letters between her and her attorney, as only your girl can do.
You do not want to miss that. Believe
you do not want to miss that.
All right. Well, Jen, thank you for having me. I'm going to let you say bye to everybody.
All right.
And
thanks for coming.
I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, babe. Bye. All right, you guys. Thank you all for being here. So thank everyone who's been here. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I cannot talk. I appreciate your support. I really do. It means the world to me. I love talking true crime with you guys. So join me tomorrow night, and we are going to talk all things Sarah, no malicious, Boone. And until then, y'all stay safe out on these YouTube streets and the real streets, because it's dangerous out there. And I will see all of you guys tomorrow. Oh, Brittany came back. Yes. I don't think she meant to come back. She didn't. Oh. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye. Hey, if you haven't done so, give your girl a thumbs up on the way out, pretty please. All right.